Leftover Lies, 6th edition. So for those of you who don't know, this is like the concept on the channel where when I have enough of these built up topics that I didn't get a chance to cover in any of the recent Rabbit Hole Roundups or Hard Truths episodes, this could be leftover TikToks, leftover videos, leftover posts that I saw and I liked a lot. I love to mix and match these and cover them here on the Leftover Lies. So lines up for today's episode we have, was former NBA player Kwame Brown actually a bust? Or has the narrative been unfairly crafted around him? We also have this idea that success doesn't have to be fast, and oftentimes, when you do try to rush your success, it actually doesn't last.
He knows this guy Wilkinson. He made a fortune in the stock market. Now he's got some new thing. It's supposed to be a big merger. You guys should think about doing this, too.
We also have a couple Jelly Roll clips. As you guys know, one of my favorite new artists/entertainers who puts out incredible messages and also subtle flex. He actually liked one of my posts recently. I know, I'm amazing. Thank you. And one of these days, I'm going to get him on a podcast. I'm not sure when that will be, but I will be successful enough to get him on a podcast at some point in my life. I'm manifesting that, I'm putting that into the universe, so now it's got to happen. I'm also going to be giving my thoughts on the whole Tyson fight, the Jake Paul Tyson fight.
You want a piece of me?
Or whatever you want to call that thing. And we'll see if we have time for any other topics at the end. Anyways, without further ado, let's dive deeper now.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know that, miss me, then not subscribe to the channel so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through by Jared Weiss. All links purchased are on my website, which is jaredryanweiss.com. That's JaredRyanWeiss.com. Buy the book, support me. Any support is very much appreciated. So to start things off, I have a few Instagram posts I want to share. So the first post says, it came from a guy named Charles Miller _7. It says, Joe Rogan had trouble getting his microphone to work in his first podcast. Gary Vee's first video was a boring wine review. Elon Musk didn't profit with Tesla for 17 years. Stop beating yourself up for not being perfect on your first few tries. So this is, of course, a powerful reminder that success doesn't have to be fast. And if you actually do want true long-lasting success, it's going to have to be a slow grind, done by the right tasks over and over again over time, working on yourself, working on your craft, especially because, as another post that I saw the other day also said, the quicker you want it, the more vulnerable you are. It says, when the cheese looks big and looks easy and you want it fast, it's almost always a trap. My friends, be thoughtful and patient, and always remember that if it looks too easy or sounds too easy, it is. Slow down, there's plenty of cheese available along the way. And that post actually came from Gary Vee. So of course, the more that you want that success right away, the more vulnerable you're going to be, the more likely you're going to be to sell out, sell your soul, sell out your message for a profit.
Hello, I like money.
But is that success going to be long lasting and is it going to be fulfilling? No. So be patient, enjoy the ride, do your part and allow God to do his part, and everything's all going to work out. I believe in myself and I believe in all you guys as well. Now, going along these lines of not rushing success, I also have a super powerful Jelly Roll clip when it comes to this idea. So keep in mind, Jelly Roll is a 39-year-old artist, and if you guys saw my video on the Jared and James channel talking about my 3 current favorite positive artists, between the ages of 14 and 25, Jelly Roll was actually in prison 40 times, he'd messed up a lot of his life, he held someone at gunpoint one time for drugs, but he's managed to turn everything around, become a positive light in the world, and he's using his platform to help people, to connect to God better, to realize their past doesn't have to define them, and to make better choices so that this way they don't go down the same path that he went down. And also on the top of the screen it actually says, feeling behind in your 30s? Watch this. Guys, I'm not in my 30s.
I'm waiting, old man.
I'm 28 and actually feel way younger than that. But anyways, it still is a very powerful message for anyone who feels like he or she might be falling behind in their goals, on their dreams, on their life. Because everyone's always looking at the rest of society and seeing what everyone else is doing on social media. But you have to go at your own pace, not rush things just because everyone else is doing them.
There is something poetic about a 39-year-old man winning New Artist of the Year. I don't know where you're at in your life or what you're going through, but I want to tell you to keep going, baby. I want to tell you success is on the other side of it. I want to tell you it's going to be okay. I want to tell you that the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror for a reason, because what's in front of you is so much more important than what's behind you. So
as Jelly Roll just said, winning Best New Artist at the age of 39, how many of us have been told to give up or quit on our biggest dreams because we haven't succeeded at the age of 28, as I am, or 20 or 18, and like, it's time to get real, it's time to get back to living a conventional lifestyle where you're not going after anything too big or anything that seems out of reach and that seems unrealistic. Well, here's living proof right here that your past is enough to define you, it's never too late to make a change, and it's never too late to become a massive success in your goals. So keep moving forward, keep grinding, because your time is coming and my time is coming too. Don't let age limit you just because other people have told you like that you're too young or too old to achieve this.
Too old!
Believe in yourself, manifest it, and great things will come as a result. Now next up we have the whole Kwame Brown and Gilbert Arenas feud that's been going on the past few weeks, but like also I think the past few years on social media as well as in real life too. So the first question is, for all my NBA fans out there, was Kwame Brown actually a bust? Now first off, when it comes to this whole feud, I think multiple things can be true at the same time. I don't think this is like a clear-cut black or white situation. And also, I do love how Kwame Brown has had the chance to actually defend himself and like rewrite his own story on social media and to share his side of the story, especially because for all these years, all of us NBA fans know that Kwame Brown's name has been dragged through the dirt, he's been called a bust for years, and to live with that title has to hurt, especially if he believes that like the title was wrongly given to him. So, I've listened to both sides of their stories. Now on Gilbert's side. First off, I just want to say I do love Gil's Arena. His podcast is incredible. It's probably actually my current favorite NBA/sports podcast out there. And his point of view is that Kwame is telling himself a lie.
Fake news.
Rather than like refusing to own up to where he went wrong. And he even said that when it came to his whole gun situation, when it came to this whole locker room gun incident, no one forced him to do that. No one forced him to act stupid and bring a gun into the locker room and pull it out. So he's actually held himself accountable. So like, his viewpoint is, why can't Kwame hold himself accountable too? According to him, Kwame didn't work on himself enough. He wasn't practicing.
And we're in here talking about practice.
Working on his game. And instead would go out to the bars drinking. But in Kwame's defense, his teammates were all bullying him and created a whole toxic environment for him that made him not want to spend extra time practicing in the gym with all these teammates. As much as I love Michael Jordan, as much as I love Kobe Bryant, and their whole mindsets and their whole work ethic, and I fully believe like a lot of their mentality can be used to help all of us on our own dreams and on our own journeys, I'm not so sure I would have loved playing with them either, hearing all these teammates' stories from them. So it definitely did sound like there was a whole toxic environment there, and I have a lot of experience with this myself.
I know from experience, dude.
On most of my high school teams, I couldn't stand the vast majority of my teammates, and I dealt with a lot of bullying, a lot of teammates who would blame me for all their mistakes, and me being someone who's very sensitive and who's always trying my best to be the nicest person possible, I was the type of person who would take it and not dish it out myself. So as a result, I hated going to practices, and I understand like how hard it is to succeed in a hostile environment. So sometimes it is on us, but other times it actually is like an impossible environment to succeed in, that we have no control over. Now in my case, I always did work incredibly hard on myself. I wasn't going out drinking, I wasn't lazy on my game. I always took control of every aspect of my game that like I did have control over, and as a result, I was able to overcome a lot of these challenging situations, but like in some aspects I wasn't. So like I totally understand Kwame Brown's perspective here. So of course, there's two sides to this coin and two sides to the story. If Kwame didn't want to work in his game, that part is on him.
It's on you.
But I could also fully 1000% understand, especially based on my own experience, not wanting to be around all these toxic people who are bullying you, who are making you not like the game as much that you've always been incredibly passionate about. Now also something else like that Kwame said recently, which I liked a lot, is that he played 13 years in the NBA. He actually also had a season where he averaged 10 points and 7 rebounds. So as far as I see it, was he really that bad? Or have there actually been players who were much worse but didn't get labeled a bust like he did? Now of course, there's also a ton of expectations when it comes to being a number one pick. So like, was he number one pick good? No. But does he deserve like this label of bust his whole life? I'm not so sure about that either. And he also recently said that like his expectations were to end up in prison as many of his other family members did. So as far as he sees it, he beat those odds. He had a long career and he's actually deciding to rewrite his whole story, to shift the narrative surrounding him. So in that regard, I have a ton of respect for that, and like I want to give him his props. So as you can see, there's a ton of angles to the story.
You present an interesting dilemma.
It sounds like a simple black or white situation. What do you guys think? Do you think Kwame Brown's a bust, or do you think he was given that name unfairly? Now next up in the world of sports, which in today's episode, like I actually do have a lot of sports topics, so I hope that you guys enjoy these. Although this topic may not even be considered a sport, you guys are going to understand what I'm saying in just a sec. So, the Tyson Jake Paul fight. Now, the early reaction to this fight was that Tyson's an old man. There was no way he was ever going to be able to beat Jake Paul.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But For any of us who actually watched any of his training clips,
30 years young in his training videos, but he looked 60 years old today.
did that guy who was training and looking like an absolute animal, a monster, a beast, looking like someone 30 years younger than him, was this the same guy who showed up to the fight? Or could there have been some scripting and rigging going on there? Was it also like part of his contract maybe to not knock out Jake Paul? And was he just wanting the money, so he was going to allow the fight to go 8 rounds? Now look, Tyson only managed, I think it was like 20 punches the whole fight. And once again, for any of us who actually watched the training footage, I don't care what you guys say, but like 58 or not, this guy was absolute crushing his training. Now another aspect to this fight is that he was also going through massive withdrawal from drugs. He almost lost his life a few months before, which is the whole reason why the fight had to be moved to a later date. And as we can all see, he was biting his glove during the fight, which I think could mean one of two things. On the one hand, it could mean that like he was going through massive withdrawal pains, or on the other hand, it could be that like he was trying to hold back from knocking Jake Paul out. Now the reason why I'm not with the whole narrative like he was too old and he had no shot of winning the fight is because first off, once again, his training videos, totally different story from the actual fight. And second of all, I think that like a lot of us have been told this lie that as you get older, you automatically have to deteriorate, your body has to become weak and feeble, and you're not able to move as well as you once could. Now of course, does it make it harder to? Yeah, but like I've seen plenty of people, I mean, my friend RJ, aka the Nunnik, he's in his 40s and he's doing calisthenics feats like he would have never been able to do 10 years ago. He's getting better over time. I also see this guy on Instagram, Andy Nicholson, 55 plus years old, and he's dunking better than he ever was in his 20s or 30s. So like a lot of it just simply comes down to poor lifestyle choices, eating wrong, treating your body like crap, and then what do you expect to get out in return? But all these people are going to blame it on age, when I don't think like that actually has to be a certainty. I've seen way too many people get better with age and do things in their 50s, 60s, 70s, like a lot of people aren't able to do in their 20s and 30s.
Step aside.
You just suck like a stone.
So I'm not sure where I stand on this. I think it's pretty clear from the footage that there was a price and he took it, and I think all the viewers unfortunately paid a price as well. Because we all had our hopes up. We thought we were going to get the best of Tyson and the best of Jake Paul, but it didn't work out that way, and now it's just like a fun topic of conversation. Next up, the next topic I wanted to dive into is a thought that occurred to me recently, which is that I think quarterbacks were actually way better when they were actually allowed to make mistakes and throw interceptions. I mean, have any of us ever looked into Brett Favre's stats, one of the best quarterbacks of all time? Have any of us ever looked at Peyton Manning and Tom Brady? And also another one of my all-time favorites, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic. How could you not like him? But the reason why I want to bring this up is because I think quarterback play has gotten worse over the past few years. Not saying like every quarterback is bad or anything like that, but as far as I see it, a lot of these quarterbacks are so afraid to make mistakes because as soon as the player throws an interception these days, it's like immediately their whole mindset shifted, and they're going to be afraid to make a mistake the rest of that game because 2 interceptions, oh my god, that could be horrible. But like, if we want to look back 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when you guys like Ben Roethlisberger would have a game where he'd throw 500 yards, 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions and get the win, I would actually much rather watch that than see a guy throw for 150 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. I think these days, a lot of GMs and a lot of coaches are way too quick to pull their players based on throwing an interception, and the sports media is way too quick to label a quarterback as a bust. But if we actually want to look back at some of these old stat lines, there were quarterbacks who were throwing 20 interceptions in the season, 25 interceptions in the season, 17, 18 interceptions. Whereas this year, I think the leading guy in interceptions is probably going to end up throwing maybe 17, which years ago, that would have been like nothing. But during that time where interceptions were actually way more common, and I could be wrong about this, but like, this is just me going based on what I'm seeing. You'd see guys throwing 35 touchdowns and 17 picks, 40 touchdowns and 20 plus picks. So what do you guys think? Do you think the quarterback play was better when these guys were actually allowed to throw picks and not have it ruin their whole game? Next up, the final sports clip I want to share in this episode is coming from Stephen A. Smith talking about Nikola Jokic, and like, he actually brings up a very interesting point about him.
Jokic, right?
Jokic, yeah.
3-time MVP.
Yep.
No one ever talks about him as like a top 5 player of all time. How do you feel like it, when I
That's a good question. I tell you why I think that's the case. He's a phenomenal basketball player, but primarily due to his IQ, because he really, really, really knows how to play. But he can't jump onto a curb. And when we look at basketball players, the first word that comes to our mouth is athleticism. We're looking at a guy and we say, wow, you know, look at these athletes, man. These brothers can jump out the gym. They got these
nice to
records.
watch.
It's nice to watch. This brother, Jokic, I mean, just a big tub of lard, just shoving people around. You know, no six pack, and ain't still built or anything like that. He's just big and strong. You know, waddle. He don't even walk. He waddles and stuff. You just look at him, and you can't stop him.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. I mean, he shoots the ball from up here. You're like looking at him like, damn, what this dude is unbelievable. Shot goes in.
So, in a lot of cases, I don't always like or agree with everything like Stephen A. Smith says. In this case, he actually makes a very good point though, which is that all of our other GOATs in basketball, or all the other best players of all time, have been dominant from a physical standpoint, or on the other hand, have been able to take over a game in the way that like Steph Curry does, which is of course unique to him as well. So you have LeBron, physical dominance. You have MJ, physical dominance. You have Kobe, physical and mental dominance. But like Jokic stands out in his own way, which is that he takes over a game based on his IQ, based on his ability to understand the game, to pass the ball incredibly well, to find the holes in the defense, to know exactly how to play the game. And of course, this is no fault of his own, but fans are so used to seeing a guy take over a game with a thunderous slam, or in the unique way like that Steph Curry does it, where he'll make 4 threes in a row and then start dancing around, jumping all over the place. Jokic though is definitely a different breed, and by the end of his career, let's just say he has 3, 4, maybe even 5 MVPs.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5.
And if he actually wins another championship, what's the narrative going to be around him? Could he be one of the greatest of all time? I'm not sure about that. It's definitely a very interesting point though. Now the final clip in this week's episode I want to share has to do with gray hair in young people, and how this may not actually be caused by what you think it is. It may just be like an aging thing.
Okay, I just learned this about gray hair, and you guys know anybody that's maybe in their 20s and 30s and started getting gray hair? And we usually associate that with like older people, right? Like your grandma, your grandpa. Like getting elderly, we have more gray hair. I think that because, it's just like related to age. So if it's an elderly thing, why are young people starting to get gray hair? So if you look into what gray hair actually is, it's developed from the lack of minerals in the hair. So specifically iron and I think it's manganese, they make the dark colored hair. So wouldn't it be interesting to say that gray hair is actually specifically mineral deficiencies? Manganese and iron are 2 minerals that your cells need to create energy. So when our gray hair is lacking those 2, they're more composed of zinc and calcium. You put zinc and calcium together, what does that look like? White or gray? When you put iron and manganese together, what color does that give you? A black, darkish rock. It's also interesting when you hear about people who seem like they just very quickly develop a bunch of gray or white hair. This usually points to a response from a traumatic incident or a shock to the system. But when you see it as a gradual shift, that's really a sign from the body, especially when you're young, that there is a slowing down happening and displacement of your minerals, likely from stress and fatigue or chronic stress that's been unaddressed.
This makes perfect sense to me. So I never knew the exact combination of minerals that went into this, but I fully believe that every health condition out there can be reversed and anything can be healed from. And basically every health issue is caused by stress, malnutrition, or toxicity, and most likely a combination of all 3. So this makes perfect sense that when people are stressed out, when people aren't getting proper minerals and proper nutrition and proper hydration, their body's going to show this with physical signs. So I just found this to be like a very interesting clip and a very interesting topic. Anyways, if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this edition of The Leftover Lies. Anyways, I will catch you guys in the next episode. Stay grinding, stay hustling, stay positive, stay critical thinking. Catch you guys next time. Peace.